Good evening, everyone. It's December 10th. This is the Historic Districts Commission meeting for this evening. First piece of business is like to welcome a new commissioner to our group. This is Dennis King, who's sitting on my right. Dennis is a trial lawyer, and he is going to be a voting member of the commission. And he's going to take Mark Miner's role, who moved down to New York. So, Dennis, thank you very much for joining us. We're can't wait for your expertise, and I'm sure you'll be a very valuable member of the commission.
You're welcome.
So thank you for joining. So the first piece of business this evening is 280 North Street. This is an informal discussion. Thank you for coming in, Roger and Michael. We had a site visit to the home last weekend, and we were reviewing some garage plans for the property. And in doing so, we noticed that there were some modifications to the approved plan that we had made going back about it was about 9 months ago or so. Over a year ago, related to the windows. And so I guess we'd like to start with that, just kind of hear what happened with the window installations, particularly on the second floor. And if you want to come up here, you're welcome to to do this from those seats.
My name is Mike Morgan,
Mike.
Bay State Builders. The windows, to get right down to it, the windows that I ordered, I was dealing with Hingham lumber, particularly Mike O'Connell. And when I was ordering the windows, he said, "We can't give you that size." And I said, "Well, then just give me the closest size you can give me to it." And that happened on both sides windows, and I said, they have to be this style when they have to be that. He said, well, they don't have this, they don't have this. I do remember him saying he wasn't ordering off a book, he was ordering off a program in the computer. And I remember him saying, oh, well, I've been having problems with this, and blah, 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 and that this is a new plan. Because Roger had informed me, well, all he had to do was just look at the book. I said, well, he wasn't looking at a book. He was looking on a program on a computer. But nonetheless, I just said to him, I said, well, these are historical and they have to be what they have to be. And he's like, well, we can give you the next closest size, but from what I've been told, they're not even the next closest size. So I just assumed, I gave him the set of plans, they took the specs off of them. I just assumed those were the windows.
Okay. Is there a window that's larger that is available then, according to Hingham Lumber, that meets the specifications according to this plan?
That's larger than the ones we have?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, come to find out, there is.
Okay. And does it meet the plan exactly, or is it?
No, well, I honestly, I haven't pursued that right now. I just was informed on this, so.
Okay.
For me, I'm recalling the story as it happened
Okay.
for me.
Okay.
So in terms of,
Okay.
what it exactly is, that's how it happened for me.
Okay. So, your plan of action right now would be what?
Well, I mean, I thought I was done. So you can imagine where I feel right now.
Mhm.
I'm like, I thought I was done. I didn't know this was a problem, never even occurred to me. Why would I order a wrong size window only to have a problem later?
Right.
So for me, I guess, looking back on it, I thought that the board members were always taking a look. I had said, yeah, you can come by anytime. I had agreed to it. And I remember when I put in one of the windows, when I first started putting the windows in May or June, as soon as I put in one of the temporary glass windows to install the things, I got a call the next day saying, we have a problem. The windows are not right. Those aren't divided lights. I said, I know, those are just temporary, just to get the frames installed, and a nightmare with all the windows from start to finish. But anyway, so that I just assumed that these were all being checked on anyways. I mean, this this is over and above, obviously, me not knowing I had this problem anyways. So I just assumed that everyone was driving by here all the time, they were looking at it all the time, that everyone was in agreement or is okay, that, you know, if they're seeing what they're seeing, that everything is okay.
Mhm.
So when this comes to right now, I don't know how it comes to right now, when I didn't catch it, no one else caught it, that's where I'm at right now.
Mhm. Okay. Roger, anything to add to this from an architectural standpoint? And what you had originally drawn and what you'd like to see there?
Well, I think, first of all, way back a year or so ago, I was hired by Michael to come in and see if I could add some detail and some finish and some sort of historic detail to the finish of the job, which I did with the drawings, made presentations to you all. He did not hire me to do supervision, so I wasn't watching. But when I got the call from Andrea Monday, I drove right down and measured the window, and the upper window is not the right window. And Boston Sash does make a unit that is 2 inches within the 2 inches of the size that is supposed to be on that job. So that window is available.
Yep.
The good thing is that it's exactly the same
Yep.
width, so that there's no issue about headers on top of the window.
Okay.
It does mean, obviously, sill pieces and casings and everything have to be adjusted, but you don't have to tear sections of the wall apart in order to get a deeper window in. And
What's the difference in size from the one that's in the drawing versus the one that's installed? That's it.
14 inches. So it's
That's
not,
significant.
yeah, it's not it isn't a 4-inch miss.
It's substantial. And that's why I'm surprised no one, not one person picked up on it, not even myself.
But I think when you stand in the street and you look at the house, it's not right.
The proportions are definitely
Yeah,
off.
it's just, and I think that, the window that's, I think it's a 8 by 13 glass, is within 2 inches of what's shown on the plan and would be proportionately correct to fix that situation with the, I mean, the fascia of the head, he did a really nice job on all of the detail, inset panels on the corner boards and everything is all done very nicely. It's unfortunate that the biggest thing you see there is the proportion of the window to wall look, and unfortunately North Street was not in my sort of pattern of going back and forth. If any one of us had seen it, it would have been easy to, before any of the finish, any of the plaster or any of the house is basically painted, finished on the inside. But I do think that by taking casings in the sill and the apron off, that it's easier for me to say.
No,
but,
I understand.
it can be rectified without major reconstruction of the wall.
Michael, when you talked to Hingham Lumber, do you feel that was a mistake on their end, or do you feel it was?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I'm a GC. So ultimately, it's always my fault. So no matter what happens, no matter where the mistake happened, I understand that,
Yeah.
So, that's obviously the first part of it. Then, where they failed on giving me the proper information, how we ever came to those sizes that I couldn't get, and then how I got those.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happened. I honestly can't, I don't know.
Okay.
How no one else picked it up, I don't know. Until this point, I have no idea.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the commission on?
I don't have any questions, but, this particular situation raises the issue of oversight, or ongoing oversight on a project after the commission has made a determination. And there aren't any mechanisms, as best I understand, for that to be done. But, you know, this isn't the first time we've had mistakes, so.
And I think to add to that, though, as a commission, you know, we're here to sort of approve these plans, but I think it's the applicant's responsibility to make sure that they're installing the windows and doing what they've said that they're gonna do and that we've all voted on. So I agree, you know, some oversight would be helpful, but I think it's the ultimate responsibility of the applicant, the homeowner, the builder to do what they said they're gonna do.
Okay.
Just as a comment about that, I think I agree. Looking back, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, but, you know, for instance, if there were a situation where you've approved a set of plans and you don't know exactly what either the owner or the general contractor, I mean, one thing, if there was an owner involved, there might have been one more step of a review. But in a situation like this, if, for instance, where this is such an important aspect of this, if the contractor were to submit a window schedule of what was being purchased, that would certainly have caught this particular issue. I don't know how you, as a commission, have, you know, sort of the right to do it. Most of the time, if we're involved with oversight and supervision, it's exactly what happens, that the contractor gets the window order sent to us, and we say, okay, yes, this meets the specification, and it goes back to the contractor and then to be ordered. In this case, that didn't happen, and there may be a way of doing that in the future that might alleviate this kind of issue you know, for future projects.
Okay.
Were these the drawings submitted to the building department?
Not that, I mean, yes, the house drawings were the same as our record drawings, did
Okay.
not include, of course, the new structure.
Proposed garage.
Let's try to get a handle on the scope of all this. What is the, how many windows were we talking about that were not installed properly? Not to design?
There's 4 on the front, main ones of that height. 1, 2, there's 2 on that side, 4 here on the front, and then also on the right side, there is 2 more. Yeah. So a total of 8.
8. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
5,
6, and then on the side?
Oh, no, okay, so 7, 8. 7, 8
On the left
on the left side, and then on the right side.
On the right side, there's then,
Also the window over the entry porch.
Why, that's wrong?
no, the nice thing about that is that it's exactly the same, the right size for one of the ones that are being taken out. So that's the right size for that window over the portico.
So Roger, what you're saying is, it is the wrong one that's in there, but it's, if one of the other ones were to taken out, that could go right in there.
Correct.
And then on the other side,
There's 4. This list.
2, yeah, but those,
2, 6, and 4.
no, he's saying that are wrong.
No, this, what I was saying is that this one right here,
Right, no, but those aren't wrong.
no, this one in the center here
Oh, yeah.
is also smaller than supposed to be, but one of these coming out is exactly the same size
Oh,
as that.
okay, gotcha. Okay.
How about on the sides of the house and on the rear of the house?
I didn't look at the rear, to be honest with you. Would have to go by the set of plans.
We didn't get a chance to walk all the way around, at least I didn't. Check the rear out.
We don't have the rear elevation
Right.
plans.
Hang on, keep looking here.
Yeah, I just want to get a sense of how many windows we're talking about all the way around.
That's just, those are for the new one.
Oh, well, that's for the,
Right.
If you don't have it, Roger, shall I go back and?
I'm just gonna look, Yeah, I think that's in the other file, Andrea.
Okay, I'll go get the
in my head, there's 7 in the back.
Okay. So we can get a, maybe we can get
But
it.
that's not to say those are wrong, though. Because they're different. Well, no, wait, so wait a minute.
Hang on,
That's a
Andrea, hang on
bathroom
just a
one.
second.
That's a bathroom
Yeah,
one.
here it is. I knew I had it in here somewhere.
7 in the back. Andrea, maybe while we're trying to locate the exact plans, the rear and the sides, side elevations, maybe I can just ask the homeowners,
I've got it here.
you know, given kind of the drawings that we have and that were approved, and I think this set of drawings is probably doing the best we can for the house. I think it looks, you know, it looks what we intended, I think maybe what you intended. What would you like to do going forward with, given where we are, and how would you like to have your house look?
Can you go to mic, please? What's up? Can you use the mic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Scooch up.
Can you hear that?
Take the mic out at the stand if you want.
I'm guessing you can hear me at good depth. Yeah, it's a good question, right? I found out about this in the last 24 hours or something, and went over and looked at the windows and said, okay, yeah, and I asked Mike, are we off by 2 inches, or, you know. I think I would need to have some thoughts about it. It's really like you guys, I have a job, I go to work every day, and I check it in the dark on the way home and take a look and say, what does it look like? Do I think it will look more like the plans if we put the right size windows in? Yes. You know, if it's a massive expense, then there's probably a question about that, because there's a level of fairness there as well that I have to keep in mind.
Okay. Is there anything going on with the ceiling height on the first floor or the second floor that, you know, these windows were, you know, were somehow fitted to the interior of the house? No. So just standard height ceilings,
Yeah,
first and second floor?
yeah, well, they're set up for like the plan set.
Okay. Okay. All right.
The head of the window's in the proper place.
Yep.
So
No,
I'll
I'm
go-
just wondering, just from a ceiling height of the first floor, that, you know, maybe a smaller window made more sense when you were putting it in, or, I'm just,
Right, no, I see what you're saying.
no, that's not the case.
No, I mean, I'd like to say, like,
Yeah.
it's not like, no, it wasn't always like that.
Bring your chair.
Yeah, no, it wasn't ordered like that, no, I'm deciding what I think would look good now.
Okay. Any sense on the side windows, what we're looking at here?
There's 7 in the rear,
7 in the rear,
2 on the left side, 4 on the right side, and 6 in the front.
okay. Okay, so 19 windows, roughly. Is that right? 7, 2, 4, and 6. Okay. Let me poll the commission here and ask what some of the thoughts are at this point, given what we know and what we approved initially. Thoughts on where we should go from here?
I'll start. I think in terms of the windows in the front, I think they should absolutely be replaced. with the windows that were approved. I think what's there is not appropriate. I think, if we can get to behind the house, maybe there's a little forgiveness on the windows in the rear. It's frustrating to see that this has happened. We went through a long process with this project, and I think we came up with a good solution. And to see where it is now, and, we're being kind of backed into a corner to approve something that is not appropriate because it was a mistake in the field, is a little frustrating. On the other hand, we are human, and I think, there could be some forgiveness in here, but in terms of the windows on the front of the house, I think absolutely they need to be replaced with the windows that were originally approved.
Okay. I agree with that, Mike. I think that's well said. I think on the rear, I have some flexibility. On the sides of the house, I'd like to see it done, but I could be persuaded one way or the other on that. But I do feel the windows in the front need to be replaced. Anyone else care to weigh in?
I think it's an unfortunate situation. But I believe it would be incumbent on the decision of the commission to have compliance with the plans as they were approved, and therefore all the windows that are in question to be replaced.
Lois?
It's a tough one, Mike. And Raj. But I agree with Mike, and then I agree with Virginia that it was such a long process. And the plans should be implemented the way they were required to be implemented. And whether that means you work something out with Hingham Lumber, how you make that happen with whatever happened in the field. But the plans were the plans. And I know you asked a piece of the picture about, well, isn't anybody watching this? We are a design review board. We look at what the plan should be for an historical place. But we don't go sit in your driveway and see whether your builders, your people, whoever you're working with are doing their job. I think we're kind of sort of an honest, like it's an honor roll board or something. We approve something and you go do it, and nobody goes back and looks at it, except the building commissioner in the final result. But I'm a little bit on Virginia's side. I'm also on Mike's side, and I don't know where the middle is. I'll let you know after Tomas.
I definitely would like to see them replaced in the front. I would also like to see them replaced on the side, just because those are things that you can see whether you come from one end of North Street or the other. I am open to the back just from an expense standpoint, but I would really appreciate if the front and the sides could be replaced. I also think it has an overall effect on also the drawings that are in front of us when we're reviewing something like this, because it changes all the proportions and just makes it really harder when we go to and start to review the next step as well. But more importantly, I think from a historic standpoint, I think it would be, I think that the windows should be the way that you had drawn them originally, Roger.
This structure can be viewed from at least 3 sides. It is very visible on North Street. As a result, I believe that the facade, as well as both sides, should be changed to reflect the drawings.
All right, Dennis?
I agree with both Chuck and Tomas.
Okay. At this point, maybe, Andrea, it's, we could take a vote to determine what they should do going forward. I think that's probably the best thing to do.
It appears that,
And I'll structure it the way, you know, that you know, where people can vote either way.
I think we need to make a motion
Right.
that can either be voted up or down. So, for example, it seems most people do favor the
Right.
front and the sides.
Right,
So I would suggest that.
right, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Good,
All right.
And that means not the rear, correct?
correct.
Yeah, so if somebody'd like to make a motion to, for 280 North Street, that the windows on both side elevations and the front facade should be replaced to conform to the original plans that were approved, we can go forward with a vote.
I'll do that.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion for 280 North Street that the front windows and the 2 side elevations be repaired to reflect the original drawings dated September 2015, Roger? No, they're not the original. Just give me a date.
It was March 2014.
I'll double check and I'll put the right number in there.
Okay. Earlier, around March 2014, to reflect those window sizes and dimensions. And that it will not change any outside fascia boards, or, Chuck, give me the right words.
I mean, the header.
Header? Easy one. It won't change the headers, it won't change anything else. It's just gonna be a window change to the right sizes.
I would like to ask
And-
for submittal of a window schedule.
And we would like a window schedule for those replacement sizes.
And in total, 2 windows on the left side, left elevation, 4 windows on the right side elevation, and 6 windows in the front, to be replaced.
And the one over the porch
Uh,
can
and-
be replaced with an existing.
Right. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Didn't we need a second?
Oh, second, yeah.
Did we have a second?
Do we have a second? I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. All right. So, also on the agenda was the garage, carriage house, drawings. Do you want to go forward with that at this point? Okay, okay.
Should be a time frame to replace these windows.
Thank you, board.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay,
So Elizabeth and John Flowers, the.
thank you for coming in. Okay, so let's, so let's restart here. We were out to see the property, obviously, last weekend. Thank you for having us out. Got a chance to look at the site, and that was very helpful for us, so appreciate you letting us do that. Maybe you'd like to talk a little about what the plans are for the carriage house garage, and how you see it being used, and how the design kind of fits in with the house itself.
Right, so, design-wise, it's pretty simple. You know, we knew Roger had, he was involved with the original design and kind of getting it to historical and making sure it looks the way that the town would like it to, which is great. So we went to Roger and just said, hey, we're pretty simple. We just want something that's gonna fit in, everyone's gonna be happy with. We want a place to park our cars in the winter, because it's not the best place to leave them on the street. And we wanted just a space up above to let the kids bang around and have a ping pong table, and, you know, it's basically a play space. We have no basement in our home, because of its location. So we wanted just a place that you can get rid of the kids for a little while and send them out and let them do all the damage they want. And that's about it. It's a pretty simple concept. We left it almost, and Roger, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but almost 100% up to Roger. We said, let's build us something that would make sense and would look nice with this house and on the street.
All right, so before we go to the project, do you have any comments? Any
No, I think
additional-
that was the
Okay,
direction that was given
Okay.
to us. And
okay.
so I think, as we've said before, I like this idea of having a sort of informal discussion of possibilities. We spent a lot of time going around town and looking at garages, barns, attached, detached, semi-attached, to get some sense about this. The one thing we have an issue here with, as I'm sure you realize, we have the 50-foot setback from the wetland goes right through the back corner of this. So I think Andrea had made a comment when she called me Monday about the windows, about is there any chance of moving this back further so it wasn't up on the face of the building. And it sits right on the back corner, sits right on the 50-foot setback line on the site. And given that site and the number of issues with conservation in terms of getting the house approved, the fact that they don't have a basement, 'cause it's basically a crawl space through there, but the slab on grade for a garage is a different situation. But we need to be 50 feet back from that line. So that's what sort of set that back line for us. And we tried to, in terms of the look there, with a hip roof, you go around town, it's actually kind of fun seeing all the various ways that barns, garages are done. Lots of times you see you're facing a gable end or an eave end, and very often we took a whole bunch of pictures. We thought was kind of fun. You can pass these around and see some of the various alternative way barns and garages were done. Our feeling was that an eave end of this with dormers set back, both back from the face of the eave plus up the roof, would make a dormer as inconspicuous as possible. That would actually be a softer solution with the gable end than if you had an eave end and a dormer or a pair of dormers or some sort of dormer look up on top. The massing of that, along with the flat roof going all the way across, would be more of a impact. So that's why we came up with the gable end look of this barn, garage, carriage house with the dormers set back on the roof line, and then put it as far back from the street. We're not at all hindered by the front setback line. It's really the rear line that catches the back corner.
Any thoughts from the audience? Any questions? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'll just, I'll start off the discussion, then we'll just open it up. So my first view of this, when I saw the plans, was the connector between the two the two structures. I just have a tough time getting comfortable with that notion. We don't have a lot of those in town. I know it's new construction, but, you know, typically we do see garages separated from the main house. So I think that and the height of it is just, it's just a little odd. It's a little bit off for me. Yeah, yeah. And I know there's a bit of a, decline going back into the backyard, but still, I think if you could somehow envision a garage that is it is detached, I think it works better with this property. Second thing is, you know, it's interesting. All the garages and barns that you're showing us are set back on the properties, and I know there's a 50-foot setback with the conservation, but I'm wondering if there's a variance that's all possible that could be granted for you. Given the property, just looking back there, it looks like there's some room to move towards the back, even within the setback. And
We asked for it to start, that's where we
Yeah.
wanted it, and then we got pushed forward.
yeah,
But if there's a variance, we're not gonna fight that, we love it, that's where we would want, I mean, I think.
Right.
We're not architects, but you can look at
Right.
it and say, I'd like to have it there.
So, and I think in my view, and given where, the research that you've done with the other barns and garages around town, I think it would look better, set back. So I would encourage you to, this is not the Conservation Commission, but I would encourage you to explore that, in conjunction with what you're doing here, to see what.
We do have two people here who are former Conservation Commission members, and I don't know if you'd want to opine.
He was open space, I was Concom
That's right, Mike.
for 6 years, but just in my prior history.
please.
Oh, sorry.
Just in my prior work on Concom, it may have changed since then. I don't think the regulations have changed at all, but it's doubtful that they would grant a variance for moving back a structure like that.
Mhm.
So, I don't.
Thank you.
Okay. Still think it's worth exploring and asking the question
I think we actually asked that question to a bunch of people, including, Roger and Mike, a couple of them we know have been through the process, and the doubtful was basically what we got was, hey, they're pretty hardcore about that in Hingham, which is why we said, okay, it's, are we gonna put up a big fight to get nothing? And if we can not do that, and is it okay? Yes. Would we like to start with it there? Yes, but it seemed like, as we went through the process and talked to people, it was going to be a fruitless endeavor to kind of go down that path.
Hans, we have a hearing Monday night on a similar situation that we were right up against the 50-foot. And what we've done is basically, now this happens to be a house, we're actually putting structural piers on the backside. And preliminarily, they've been very appreciative of that effect by taking the foundation out of the 50-foot setback and putting in piers. It's one thing to do that with a structural gable end of a house. A little bit more difficult to do it with a garage with a slab on grade. We have done, in the past, we have actually done precast concrete floors for garages that are then placed on beams, and then the beams then again sit on piers. So that's certainly worth pursuing, I think, as a part of this issue, if, and again, one of these ideas actually came from the Conservation Commission trying to come up with a solution. So it may very well be that if we could come up with a way of let's say, you know, if we got half of that span, went 14 feet or whatever it is, and put a precast system in, would allow us to move it back far enough, and if we had 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 piers rather than a foundation wall.
Okay.
That might be something that they would look favorably upon, but I think it's certainly worthwhile pursuing.
Sure, I'm happy to pursue it if it makes sense. If
Yeah.
there's an opportunity there, we're definitely happy to pursue it.
I think, I just don't want this garage to detract from this, you know, wonderful home that you've built. And it just becomes, if you look at the neighborhood and you look at, you know, a garage attached to a house, you've got a very big, you know.
There's a lot of things.
There's a lot of massing there. And there's just, we just don't see that on North Street.
Yeah.
So something that can be minimized, that can be tucked back in the property, much like some of the other pictures that you've shown us, I think would work a lot better in this type of
Can
situation.
I suggest something?
Sure.
I agree with, you know, if it can be tucked back. I don't know if that's possible on that piece of property. But in looking, I'm looking at this picture, and the others,
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet, okay. I can
which
see
which drew me to that.
that. Okay,
Streetscape.
streetscape.
Yeah,
I can see it from there,
streetscape.
though.
Don't laugh. Knock off the cupola. And maybe those dormers somehow a little smaller. I'm not sure, Roger, how that would be. And don't connect it to the house. And you have something that would be appropriate, I think, to North Street. Because you've diminished it, it's not competing. Right now, there's a little competition with the house. Like the chimney and the cupola want to fight.
Lois, can I ask a question?
Sure.
If the commission members could look at the pictures I'm gonna set down, we recently approved a garage at 33 Lincoln Street, which is the one you have right here. I don't know how you feel about that, but with the hip roof on the house, it shows less roof and has a feel of being, has less height because of the pitch. Exactly, there's a lot less pitch on it when you look at it. And there's a couple of variations of it when you look at this here as well over here. And there's also the one right here. I don't know if there's also the one right there.
Yeah, we just kind of.
And the issue there is, and again, I think it would be very helpful to actually see the two roof lines sort of superimposed over each other, because our feeling was that if you take that roof line that's facing, the eave is facing you this way.
Yep.
Even if, and I love that sort of historic piece where you've got the pediment over the
Right.
door, but you still have the roof line up here, as opposed to the roof line pitching away with the gable end in front versus the eave end in front. My sense is that the massing is less with the gable end. The peak is higher because it's a vertical surface. The roof going away, you still see the ridge across the top, which sort of is what blocks your view of the wetlands and the woods behind, so that you see more of that with this shape than you do with it. But I think it'd be interesting to actually superimpose the two different solutions, and you know, take a look at that. The issue, Lois, with the cupola, I think almost most of them that were on those have cupolas. Some are smaller, some are larger, some have glass, some have louvers. You know, I think it's appropriate. And what happens with the drawings that you have there is, because they're such small scale, the line weight really sort of, you know, makes them look bigger than they actually are. But that's, again, something that we can certainly, whether it's not there at all, whether it's a smaller version, smaller and lower.
Want to put cows in here.
They found us out.
We can leave.
Is that gonna be a problem, or is that environmental when you talk to them? That's another commission.
No, if you
Another
tell
one?
me there are 4 cows in there, I'll say, yep, you can.
Are these awning windows at the 2 dormers, or they are awning windows?
I want to be able to get those to operate.
No, you're
Now,
not venting through the cupola.
Well, because that was gonna be a finished space that was heated, because there is no basement. That was gonna be the rumpus room, family room, playroom for the house. And obviously, you can do that. And we were trying to be very careful about that side elevation, keeping those windows and the dormers minimally affecting the overall roof and the overall look from the sides. Also felt that was, having the dormers on the sides was a little bit better than having the dormer on the front. But again, this is why we're here tonight, is to get some help and just think out loud about what's possible.
So conceptually, this is a carriage house style garage, with the emphasis being garage, not carriage house, in terms of the features. That's how I'm kind of understanding it, because I think my expectations for a carriage house would be different than what I see here. But so this is a hybrid between a garage and a carriage house. Okay.
I think most of the barns that you see here would be more like a carriage house. You have a
Yeah.
single door in the middle with more solid siding, and that's the horses would be underneath, and the carriage, et cetera, would be at this level. That's what most of them, I think, you'd see in town. That's how they worked. So, yeah, I think you're right, that this is a hybrid.
In terms of looking at this, even given what I said, these features here visually take away, I think, from the carriage house look to me. You know,
I can tell what you're pointing at.
I'm sorry,
The dormers?
the dormers, yeah.
Okay, yep, great.
Take away from the leanness of a carriage house look and give it a busyness that is somewhat bothersome for a carriage house style. And even in the back, let me ask you, the reason for the 2 doors on the back?
One is getting into the garage section, and one is getting into the upper section, so the 2 doors.
I see.
There are, you have one that goes into the stairway, and then one that goes into the
I see.
garage.
Okay.
Now, could you make one, yeah, you could go through one, so you could do it with one door. It just, from our standpoint, it seemed more, usable, flexible for the owner to have, if you're going up to the playroom above the garage, you've got one access, and into the garage with other garage items with another.
Oh, I understand that. Thank you for that explanation. Just, it's a little bit asymmetrical to my eye in terms of that, but I understand the functionality.
Mike, any additional thoughts?
No, I think comments have been well said. I would encourage looking into pushing it back, because I think we can find a solution for the right structure as sort of a standalone thing, but I think what's most important is trying to get this pushed back from the street. And I think, detachment from the house, I think is almost a no-brainer, I think, in terms of appropriateness. And, I agree with Tomas in terms of studying the other roof option, because I agree, the height is still the height. The height's not gonna change, but I think with the roof sort of going back and it being a dark color, it may look like it recedes a little bit more than sort of that white or light colored gable facing the street. So I think looking at those would be helpful too.
I don't feel that the connector works in terms of the proposal, because it's shown as asphalt shingles, and I think this is too shallow a pitch for asphalt shingles to work. It'd have to go to something that was like standing seam or something. I just would be out of character, I think, with the whole thing. So I think that just does not work.
It's one, Chuck, it's one thing, we had a conversation about this when we started drawing this and how this would work. And that's why we took it off of the streetscape, because we felt that the connection between the two, you know, any more than a 1 mile an hour wind, and you're gonna have rain and or snow on you anyway. And as we looked around town with other things, that most of them are detached, not connected. So that's why you see the streetscape without the, and we're concerned about being able to, you know, as we've talked about before, being able to see, but we actually moved the barn, the hybrid, further away from the house in order to have that opening wider. So, you know, if you move that to within 12 feet or so, it becomes much more of a block. It's 18 feet, which we felt was a really good, wide enough opening to separate the two structures. Because we do have room, we could make it further, because we have room on the side setback. We're not into that side setback at this point.
That might be worth studying a bit.
So you're saying if you pull it closer to the house, you may be able to push it further back?
Well,
Because of the-
that's right too, but I thought I was more concerned about the impact from the street if it was that much closer. Because what happens, that line comes in this way from the back. We're only talking a couple of feet there, it's not gonna help what you're trying.
Proportionally, it's just, yeah.
But if we can do this with the precast deck, and they'll buy the 3 or 4 piers, the big boys out in back, then that might give us, you know, then we could go back 12 or so feet, and that would really make the separation, I think, that you're discussing, you know, potential. And I think before we see you again, we would pass that by, and we may not be able to have a hearing with conservation, but certainly would get with a drawing, a better sense. And I'll know a lot more Monday night.
If you're successful.
After the one over on Willow Circle.
Can I ask another question? On the first page, the driveway up to the proposed garage, how many cars are you looking to park? Are you looking to have one car outside of the garage as well? It looks like there is space.
So we have, at a plane level, we have the 2 cars that will go in the garage.
Yeah.
And then we have a space that juts to the side, which
Yeah.
is basically so that we aren't backing on
Back
North
out.
Street.
Got it.
We're gonna back into that in order to come out. It's more of a functional thing than a parking spot.
Okay.
I'm sure that it'll be used as a parking spot when people visit, but the real goal is to not get killed backing up every morning.
Yeah, having backed out of that driveway now on several occasions on North Street. It's ideal. No, I think that was the whole idea. It was more of being able to back out of the garage, turn, and then go out forward so that you're not getting into the street in the wrong direction.
Okay. I think if there is a way to minimize this, I totally understand. But if there is a way to minimize that would, I think would be great too. If you can take a look, even when, yeah, if there just is a way to minimize it, it just looks very wide. Like you have it marked here as as 12 feet, but it is actually, the actual driveway seems to be wider, is that right?
That's right.
What if you had that space where you can sort of like back out, but then the exit onto North Street was only the 12 feet? Would that be possible, maybe?
Yeah, I think the thing you can do is you
Otherwise, it just becomes a lot of driveway when you look at it.
can narrow the chute.
The actual
going out,
entrance, right.
And then where you back into that pull-out area, that could be the wider section. So when you're driving into the left-hand
Yep.
garage, excuse me, hybrid door, you actually do, you turn left and go in this way.
Correct.
Would putting a hedge in front of that help as well, or something along those lines?
Um,
Chute that goes to the left? I don't know.
Probably, I'm more worried about, like, when you look at the actual driveway from the
wide it
street,
looks.
it just looks like a big slab of concrete, and the actual entrance becomes very, very wide.
Right.
And with the, without the ability of that being able to push it back, it just becomes a lot of mass.
It has some breadth to it.
Right.
Exactly.
I understand.
So that was what I was, if there is a way to make the actual entrance the 12 feet,
Yep.
and then maybe it becomes 8 or 10 feet in, it sort of gets wider. Yeah.
Yep. I guess we'll cross that bridge once we find out if we can move it back, because then
Correct.
the structure changes.
Okay. So,
All right, anything else? All right, so hopefully you have enough comments to go on for the carriage house. And, you know, it's unfortunate what happened with the windows. I hope you can get to a solution. You know, it's not your fault. I hope you can get to a solution with the other parties involved. So it's a workable one, you know? So we, I get that.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate, it's one of those ones that.
Predates us,
Yeah.
actually,
Yes.
so.
We'll see what we can
It's
figure out,
difficult.
hopefully we can get it all sorted out and everybody's happy.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the goal.
Okay, I think the house will look a lot better with
I
the
agree with
windows.
you.
I agree with you.
Hadn't really thought of, we've been in kind of the you know,
Interior of the house. and-
panic interior mode for 3 months, because we basically didn't buy it, but we had bought it. You know how that works, he was building it, and so we didn't own it until a week or two ago, but all the selections and stuff, we did everything on the inside, so it was
Right.
All
very
hands on deck
focused for
to
a few
finish.
months right now, so
Okay.
unfortunately.
But as soon as he called, I was at the house today when he called and mentioned it, and I went outside and I went, I haven't even looked at it. You're right, you're right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we understand.
So,
All right, so, yeah, keep us up.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
thank you.
Thank
Appreciate all
you.
the
Thanks.
comments and time. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
yeah, all of this was yours.
I think these were Roger's.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, right on schedule here, it's 7:30. Next up, we have 49 School Street. Jennifer Davis and Mike Pollard, thank you for coming in. Thanks for having us out to your home.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah. I think most everyone was
I
at
was
the,
not able
but if
to
you
be
want to
there.
give us just a general overview of what you'd like to do in the project, just so we're all on the same page, that'd be great.
So effectively, we purchased the house probably in summer, in July, late July. We purchased it understanding that the siding needed to be done. There's a lot of deferred maintenance on the siding. So what we would like to do is start a project to replace the siding. And in looking at the project and looking at other houses in the neighborhood, one of the things we'd hoped to do was go from the old shingles that are there to clapboard. All we want to do is siding, repair any trim that we find rotted while we're working on it, you know, resheathe the house behind the siding as well after we've got it stripped off. We will be keeping the original windows in place, repairing trim as necessary on the windows if we find anything wrong there. But, you know, effectively it would be just progressively residing the house.
As well as changing the color to
yeah, sorry.
the light gray that we showed you all, hopefully. Stain.
Good. Don't see anybody else. I used to live right across the street on School Street, about about 10 years ago, and it's a wonderful home that you have. It's very unique, it's very quaint. It's always had the shingles on there. And I'm wondering if you might like to keep the quaintness with the shingle style that it is right now. And I'm just thinking that maybe with the clapboards, it starts really dressing it up a little bit. It starts looking more like a colonial, a little bit more like maybe a cape in the front. A lot of them have shingles on the sides, but given the size of the house and kind of what it is, a farmhouse, I'm wondering if you'd be amenable to doing something with just a shingle. And I think it would look really nice with some new shingles on there. And maybe we can talk about the design, but, and maybe you'd like to keep the design, maybe you don't, but I think it looks really appropriate, that style house with a shingle look to it. My thoughts, and see what some of the other commission members think. But it's you bought a great house. Any other,
In terms of looking at the house in the context of the street, I think the shingles are probably original and are interesting from that perspective. But I wouldn't be so opposed to putting clapboards because it would be in keeping with the houses in the surround. If that wasn't the case, then I think I'd make more of a case for keeping the shingles. It is too bad that, maintenance probably could have preserved those shingles better, but that's not the case.
So it's interesting because at the site visit, Marty Saunders thought that the shaped shingles were actually from the 70s. That's what
1970s, yeah.
Yes, that's what her supposition was.
Yeah.
So, and she said that there really was no. Actually, she didn't say. She just thought they were from the 70s, given the
1970s.
yeah 1970s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 1970s because of the curved nature. She said it just looked like it was someone's fancy to put them on. And I agree with her. I think that the shingles, because they're so disparate, there are 3 separate patterns. There's no consistency with how they were laid out. The side, the original part of the house has some squared shingles. I don't even know, they're cut in squared, but they're not even at any corresponding shaped shingles on the front. So I kind of agreed with Marty that it did look like somebody was just, trying to make it look a little bit different.
Oh, interesting, because the fish scale shingles would be in the latter part of the 19th century. But that's interesting.
Yeah. So this is 1857 house.
Mhm.
I know from what I read on Historical New England website, the shaped shingles are typically for Queen Anne style homes,
Mhm.
not necessarily for a farmhouse, which is, a simple structure. And we would consider keeping the shingles, the regular cedar shingles. However, that we are the only house on the street with shingles, and it looks like a barn. And yeah, we do want to dress it up a little bit. It's because it's our house. We want to make it look nice. I'd rather have it be in keeping with the neighborhood, and dress it up. It's our investment. So that's why we prefer to do clapboard. It's also, I think, easier for us to maintain the clapboard in terms of.
From an engineering standpoint, clapboard is a lot easier just to maintain. It's a longer lasting material for your investment. It's actually cheaper to install. It's more expensive as a material, but easier to install. In the long term, it's a great.
In our prior house, on the big long side of the house that we have.
North side, north
No,
face.
it's south. Yeah, the one that, with all the, on the driveway
Oh,
side,
yeah.
that
Yeah,
faces
south
south.
side, I'm sorry, yeah.
So with shingles, you can get a lot of cupping, you know, when you put them in after, you know, like 10 or 15 years. And I'd rather avoid having to do replacement of the shingles again. So that's another consideration as to why. I think that the front face is so small that if you put shingles on front, it's gonna make it look like a barn, or more like a barn. I just think clapboard will fit better in the neighborhood, but also be, our preference.
If I could add it, you know, it's hard to tell what was on there in 1857, but I would gather that what's there certainly wasn't what was installed in 1857.
No.
And I think clapboard is certainly appropriate for this style of house, so I certainly wouldn't be opposed to that. What exposure clapboard, have you thought of that?
Haven't thought about that yet, no.
Or
Whatever,
four-inch
you know,
truck?
would be in keeping with, what is historically accurate for exposures.
Yeah,
So is it a 5-inch?
5 inch?
probably
4.5.
four. Chuck, what do you
I
think
would,
on that?
I think it's about 4,
Four, yeah.
or 4.5.
And it has to be, it can't be what my neighbor did. You just buy 18
Short,
feet.
short
And
pieces.
and run it across the front. It's gotta be, how do you describe it, Chuck? It's short pieces, long pieces,
Mixed mill.
Right.
a
Mixed.
mixed thing. When you do those big, long pieces, the whole house becomes like a zombie. It just stares out at you with no flavor to it at all. So that would be a part of the clapboard. I would agree, I would agree with Marty. I don't think, the shingles remind me of things I have seen on the Cape in the 70s, where people started just trying to make little differences
That was exactly.
while
the
they were
feeling.
doing it, and I just have a sense, it's almost too much on your house for it to have been a,
It's a very small facade in the front, and so I thought that it was just too busy. I mean, we're very plain people, and I don't like busy at all.
it's too busy for the house.
Yeah.
So my opinion would be clapboards would be appropriate.
I apologize, I wasn't able to make it to the site visit, but I noticed in your application that a couple of the windows in the back are circled. Are you-
Yes, thank you very much. Those are crank-out windows that, based on this summer and the inability to open them, I'm thinking that we may run into some issues while we're doing the siding. So I circled those, thinking that we
Possible
might have to replace them. They are, you know, they're Anderson, you know, they're not original.
Casement.
Case-
They are a
Casement.
casement because it's a, you know, it's a very,
Yeah, those are,
knee wall there.
yeah,
They're at
floor
floor
level.
level on the second deck.
It's
But-
likely there would have been vertical windows originally, don't you think? Not those horizontal?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think they were ever originally there until, I think that was probably some sort of shed or something.
Oh,
that-
really?
Right, yeah, that's true.
Well, and this,
Work area.
according to the historic Form B, maybe that was part of the addition that was added in 1984. Could be.
I
so-
think maybe it was the, there's a third segment off the back. That's probably the
That might be the one.
1984 one.
So I think if you do come to the point where you get to it and you feel you need to replace those, that would need to come before us.
Even if I got to the point where we just discovered we just needed to do sash replacements?
Yes, even so.
My preference would be to have not a crank, and I don't know whether we can open.
We have to look.
Can you do
Not
a
have a
vertical window there?
You might,
It's
No.
very low for a
It
wall
is?
there, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And literally, they are at the deck level and
no,
the second floor.
Do a wall- Yeah, you could do it.
it looks like they're two different, it looks like the ones on this side are probably a little bit bigger, at least based on the
Yeah,
photo.
definitely.
Than the other side.
Yeah,
You may have a chance to do a double sash window here,
yeah,
but
that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know
but
that
not
you'd
on
be
the
able to
other
do that on
side.
the other side.
I don't think so.
A lot of your light appears to come from skylights, am I correct, in that part of the house?
Yes, it's pretty, the front bedroom, which is my daughter's bedroom, the boys share the other room, but, it's very dark, because she doesn't have a skylight. But we're not planning on putting in one.
One issue, it seems to me, if there's a switch to clapboards, is that the shingles are probably about 5 inches, and that the coursing of the clapboards would have to be different than the current coursing of the shingles to achieve what you would want on the bottom and top of the window, I think.
Right.
So we might have a spacing issue, you're saying?
I think you'd have to adjust it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How much flexibility do we have at that point when we start doing the measurement and start looking at the coursing and spacing? You know, is there, do we have to work within a guideline? Because I know sometimes it can be variable to make yourself land at the correct point on the, you know, the trim.
Yeah, and I think you may end up, once it gets laid out, it may end up tweaking. So I think there could be some flexibility where it was a range between 4 and 4 1/4, or, you know,
That's
something
no
like that.
problem.
And chances are you wouldn't really notice that, but it would allow you to hit some of those datum points.
The person who lays the shingles notices it.
Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Somebody like to make a motion at this point for 49 School Street?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion for certificate of appropriateness for 49 School Street to replace existing cedar shingles with the new cedar clapboards stained gray. Clapboard exposure to be between 4 and 4 1/4 inches. Repair windows as required. Replace trim in kind as required. No windows are to be replaced until review of commission.
What about trim color?
Good question.
That's right, we were going to go from the off-white to a regular
Not
Bright white.
Not a bright.
Not a titanium.
I think
Not a
that
no,
titanium
just a
white.
regular
Artie
white.
would be appreciative of that.
Jewett white?
Yeah.
Jewett
which-
white, which
Jewett
is a-
white.
It's a creamy white, just so
Okay.
you know.
So the historical windows have aluminum,
Bright white.
bright white, or, you know, white. It's a white aluminum, so I wanted to at least kind of make the aluminum storm windows blend in with the, around the windows.
You can submit that at a later date. We don't,
Okay.
I don't think we need a hearing for that, right?
I would
In terms
agree.
of trim color, so if you want to just make sure you submit that before you do it, and we can take a look at it. Okay, so applicant to submit trim paint at a later date.
I have just a general question. As I peel things back, inevitably on an old house, you're going to find things, possibly structural sill issues, that sort of stuff. At what point do I have to come back with you folks if I find things like that where I might have to do some repairs along the way? It might entail taking boards off and, you know, or putting new boards on, barn board, that sort of stuff. You guys, as long as you can.
I think when in doubt, give Andrea a call. And, you know, generally, if it's replaced like in kind, you know, there's not a problem at all.
I would say, too, that if you encounter something, some photo documentation would be very useful.
Okay. Sure.
It's just a phone call away.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will do that. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
Awesome.
Good.
you.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
Thank you very much for providing a date night for my
Yeah.
husband and I.
This is your date, you'd wrong.
We're not starting probably till spring at this point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna proceed with the building permit, but probably won't
Yep.
start till spring.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice couple.
Next up, we have 174 North Street. Mike Terrio, thank you for coming in. How you doing?
Good, good.
You want to provide us an overview of the project? And what-
I'll do my best if I can. Apparently, John Freya was going to come in, and I guess he had something that conflicted, he couldn't be here. But what we were trying to do is the house at 174 is still in need of some repairs. And what we wanted to do is basically, it appears that somewhere in the 50s or the 60s, there was an addition put on the back of that house that gave it more of a campy style of appearance. There's an old stove coming off the side facing the north side. The floor, interiorly, the floors are in repair. So what we're looking to do is basically is to keep the existing print that's there, size-wise in the back, to come up and put a second floor new over the existing first floor, dormers on each side, move the fireplace to the back, but not change the floor print of it at all. Change a few of the windows that are certainly not historic. They're plain glass windows on the porch itself that would be facing more the south way. Put something more colonial looking. So basically the house would end up looking more of a colonial style house throughout. And so basically adding a bathroom, a bedroom on the second floor, and not changing the print too much.
Are there any abutters here that would like to comment? Okay. All right. So I'll just start things off here. The only thing I'd like to see that was not submitted was a site plan for the property. I know you've got some neighbors to both your left and right that are pretty close. And it's a small area in the back, you know, if you go down the driveway to the back. So I want to understand exactly how the structure on the second floor is gonna fit in and work relative to your neighbor on the left and the right. So I think a site plan would help me out a lot with that, so I can just kind of see where you are. There's not going to be any square footage increase or change in the footprint on the first floor, is that, so there's no, okay. All right. But in general, I think this is a good plan in that your addition is going to, drop down a little bit from the peak from the original structure, so it's going to be subordinate, which I think is very appropriate for the main house. It's going to be tucked into the rear, which I don't think we're going to see too much of it from the street. The windows that are currently there now on the driveway side, I think what you're planning on is going to be a nice improvement and more appropriate for the building. The red brick on the side, I think is still going to be accentuated, which I think is just tremendous for the for the building and the look of the the street. So those are some of my initial thoughts here, but I think in general this is something that I would be favorably inclined to, but I just need to see a site plan to know where things sit relative to the neighborhood.
I could add to that, I think that's going to be important, the site plan. There's a couple other things that I'd like to see on the application, because I think it's certainly an improvement from what's there, but I think to see it in context. The other thing would be a demolition plan. So, and John should know what that means, is essentially just a dashed plan of the existing condition that you're planning to remove. And any windows on the existing structure that you're planning to replace should be also noted on the application. And if you're able to reuse any windows from the existing structure that have historic quality to it, that they be reused in the existing building. And then the other question I had was, it looks like that rear addition to the back, the one that's existing, has a stone foundation. Are you planning to reuse that foundation or tear it out and?
We're gonna try to, we were gonna actually kind of keep the external facade, but pour an internal foundation inside and build off of that.
Okay.
So we're not changing what's there.
It'd be nice, from the photos, it looks nice. It'd be nice to be able to keep that if you can do that, so. That's it.
Good, thank you. Good point.
It's interesting, if I could just say, it's interesting, I ran into this almost same situation on another house up on Main Street, where there was a time in Hingham when they were just throwing additions on. That addition, if you went inside of it, it's vaulted, it really looks like you're in a camp rather than like an old colonial house. So it's, I think in terms of the cosmetics on the interior, it'll make it look more like it's more of a dated type, but where it probably was at one time.
Ready to be on the house tour? I can find you.
Actually, the house.
You only think I'm teasing.
No, the house was on the house tour at one time, years ago, actually.
But you're right, there was a period of time where a lot of things were just slapped on. The historic districts did not exist. And people just put on whatever they felt like.
It has a crazy fireplace on it, if you, the exterior, I don't know if you guys did a site visit, but it's just doesn't look right. It looks like it was just some, belonging on a camp or something.
So that's gonna be eliminated, right?
I think your plans are going to hopefully make a wonderful house more wonderful. And a couple of comments, though, in terms of looking at the proposed north and west exterior elevations, in terms of looking at the front facade of the house, I wonder if there's any way to keep the facade the width that it is, rather than have the addition come out as much as it is. I mean, it's not a lot, but it is, I think, a little bit visually disruptive. I wonder also about the use of the dormers, and so many dormers. It seems to embellish it beyond what I think of as federal style. And finally, see if I can find it here. Again, on the proposed north and west exterior elevations, in terms of the the bottom diagram, in terms of the three sections, the windows in the middle section do not align with the windows on either section, and I wonder how problematic that is from a design perspective.
Which windows are you referring to?
The middle ones, the bottom three, in the middle section.
Okay.
The ganged windows?
Pardon?
The ganged?
Yeah.
You need, they not aligned with the windows to the right?
And to the left.
Right, okay.
Good points, thanks. Chuck, any,
Yes.
to add? Okay.
I think this is a very successful proposal in addition to the really wonderful federal house. I find that the in-wall dormers shown in the proposed addition are not a problem at all. I think they're appropriate. New additions really should not mimic the original house, really, and our guidelines state that. Where we have on the lower elevation, I think it's basically the north and west elevations, A4. Basically, those shutters, I believe, should be bifold because they are basically covering the window, and that does not work if they're just basically a single leaf. Also, on the 5, there are 2 shutters shown on a very narrow window, and really, I think there should just be 1 shutter, because if they closed, they would basically knock each other. So other than that, I really have no comments. I think it's a very successful design.
How about no shutter on that?
Excuse me?
How about no shutter?
No shutters is perfectly appropriate. In fact, it might look even better. Does everyone know where I'm talking about? It's basically where there's this 2-foot-high balustrade running around, and there are basically 2 sort of like French doors and so on. There's a small window to the left, and I think the shutters there should preferably be eliminated.
Save your painting.
I think this is a huge improvement over what's currently there, so I appreciate the pictures that has been enclosed. My only comment is that the 2 big French doors with all the glass that you have on the side, to me, that's a lot of dressing on the side there. Personally, I think it would be more appropriate if there maybe was a bigger window there instead of all that glass. I see that the door leading out is to the back on the porch. Is that correct? It's on the elevation that's, it's A5, south and east. If you compare that where you look at A1, the door in and out to the mudroom goes to the back. So it's just a lot of glass. Is that correct, Mike? If I understand that correctly?
I wonder if I've got the same plans as you do.
Okay.
A5.
A1 is the
So-
floor plan,
So
correct?
A1 is the floor plan, and A5 is the south and east exterior elevation, the proposed. When I look at it, it looks, when I compare that to where the picture is now, it's gonna be very, very close to this. You can definitely see it from the street. You can definitely see it when you look down the side. When you look at this drawing, the way it's done right now, it looks like it almost should have been pushed back a little bit, which it won't be. So I was thinking of maybe putting in, I would be open to a window similar to, maybe it's a double window, 2 windows, or, Chuck, what do you think, maybe 3 windows, Mike? Or do you like the doors?
I personally, I think it's appropriate. I think I agree with what's here. I think it looks good. I think one of the things that may be throwing it off a little bit is that, this window is way back.
Okay.
So what is really forward that you would see is this. And, granted, that doesn't change the fact that you're talking about there's some light there, but I think with these windows, what's not showing is that this is actually open and that window is way back to the other side. So I think the fact that it's got some glass there and I think it's fine.
Okay.
Personally, but.
Okay.
All the windows above, I'm just pulling that out. All the little, the 3, 6, 9, 12 little windows on the top, is that adding too much for you?
No, it
I
was,
don't know.
it was just, to me, it just looked like a lot of doors on the side. That was the only thing.
Okay. Any other thoughts? All right, so I know Jonathan's not here, but, if you can relay some of this, work with him on kind of what our initial feedback is. I would certainly like to come out on a Saturday morning and just, walk around a little bit, have this in my hand, and seeing how the scale of it fits in with the backyard and what you're proposing, so it would just help my comfort level. I don't know if some other commission members would like to do that also, but it would, I think that would go a long way. So we can set a date Saturday morning, going forward before the next meeting.
I'll schedule that with you.
But I think just, just to summarize, the main things I heard were a demolition plan, a site plan, plans,
Existing windows to be
existing
replaced.
windows that would be reused, stone foundation in the back, what the plans are for that, that would go along with the demolition. There was some questions on the dormers. I think there was kind of a split on the commission with that for the second floor, if there's any, flexibility there. The gang windows on on A4 on the north and west exterior, and some shutter changes. I think that was kind of the bulk of it, but I think that's a good start, though. And I don't think, based on what I'm hearing from the commission, I don't think this is a non-starter. I think this is something with some adjustments we can work with. Okay?
Sounds good, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. We're a little bit early, but I guess we can have, Kelly, if you would like to, come forward, we can start on Ship Street. Thanks a lot for coming in again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, happy to do it.
So, as you have in front of you, we were
Yeah.
hoping to reinstall shutters to the garage, which you've already seen a picture of when we reviewed the first time the garage, the window over top, and then to the front of the house on 19 Ship Street. I'm sorry, excuse me for interrupting. This was sent out for last month's hearing. So if you don't have it in your folders, you have it?
We can share, or
Okay.
we've got, we can make some copies, or,
Or I can just pass mine right down and
okay.
I think it's a pretty simple ask, so. So, basically, in a nutshell, the company that Peter Bickford built the garage, I think you guys know him, so his recommendation is this shutter, which, if you see a picture of that
Yep.
in your little pile there.
Yep.
It's Shuttercraft out of Connecticut, so they're all wood shutters. So that's what we're looking to have. At a minimum, we definitely feel like we need them on the front, those front first floor windows of the house. And then, as you saw on our previous plans for the garage, one over top to match. So these 4 windows, and then over the top. It seems a little small up here on the dormers, and the builder didn't recommend that either. It looks pretty skinny. And then the only other window that I wasn't sure about, which I included in your pile, was if you're coming up, you can't see the windows coming up the hill to the left on that far side. That's been renovated. There are 2 windows on the right side of the house, which, we would like to get an approval to have them on. I mean, they're expensive, they're really expensive. So at a minimum, we definitely want the front and over the garage to keep it looking consistent. But there are these 2 windows. This is not a shutterable window. It's a really cool window, but it's not, you probably remember from going through it with the
I do.
fireplace issues, I think, which was before us. So those were, so I didn't, I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on those, actually. But not really.
What's on the other side? Is there a shutter on that window on the other side?
No, and the other side, well, you can kind of see, the other side looks similar now to what it looked like in this real estate advertisement that I included.
I like the prices on there.
I know, isn't that classic?
Those are good prices.
There's a really good story that goes to that, but I don't want to take up your whole night. But I did Google this woman, Ginger DeLong.
Yes.
Because there is no date on here, so I had no idea what the year was
Is she still
of
working?
this. No, she is not, but, she worked for Coldwell Banker, which was Hunneman at the time.
Yeah.
And when she retired, is actually she married this guy who was a runner. He won all these Boston Marathons, and his last name is Kelly. And
Yeah.
that's why her new, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So they met on the Cape. But net, it was his obituary, but it reviewed her. And it said what an incredible realtor she was for
Yeah.
20 years. That one time she showed these people a house who she really wanted to move to Hingham, and he was an avid diver. And so she showed him the house in a wetsuit. I mean, it was,
Sold.
and I would never have read this awesome article if I hadn't gotten this, and I hadn't been like, gee, how old is this? I have to Google this woman. Anyway, maybe I'll get you guys that, but it shows, it looks kind of similar now, a little bit. I mean, the house goes straight out on that side,
Yeah,
but there's all shrubs here. You can't really see that side.
yeah,
Do you see what I'm talking about?
right.
But that's kind of what this side of the house sort of looks like. So.
Well, you've established some precedent, that's for sure.
I just love the article, like, she was very, people loved this woman, so, just to learn about her. Good for you guys to know,
Good
too. I
stuff.
think it was a historic thing, it was so cool.
I've got a comment about shutters at the dormers. If they were intended to be there, it would have been wider dormers so that the shutters could have a surface to fold back onto.
Right.
There's not room.
Yeah, there's not, and there's still the little hooks up there, so we need to get those taken off. There's hooks on the front windows. Yeah, so there's no hooks on that side you're talking about, because that's been completely redone and they're different windows. But there's still hooks all on the front, there's still little hooks on the dormers, and there's hooks on those two on the right side.
Maybe leave them for history's sake.
Okay, sounds good.
I wouldn't
Whatever
remove
you
them.
tell me
That's
to
just-
do, yeah?
No, I have no control over that, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I would just leave them because
Well, and
it's
because
part of
I
your
have
story.
this is all I have, so.
Shutter
I love the
hardware,
history on the house.
that is always a clue as to where shutters used to be.
So that's what we're asking for.
Good.
Certificate of appropriateness for those.
What does the
And they'll be
commission,
black.
what does the commission think about this application? Any questions? Any thoughts on
I
the?
think we should shutter it.
Yeah. How about this, how-
Hardware.
shutter this meeting?
No, shutter the,
Shutter the house.
How about the sides?
I'm gonna have to come up with something else to come back here in like 6 months.
How about the side, driveway side? Any,
I think it would look nice.
yeah,
The hardware you're using?
I love what's in the picture from the company. It's simple. I'm not sure about the S's. I can't decide if that's too overwhelming for the Cape. I think, do you have the
Oh, it
S's?
is.
on
I
yours?
don't.
You don't, yeah.
I think the S's are too overwhelming.
Yeah,
too.
I think
agree.
it's too much.
I agree, Kelly.
I love simple, but I do love that you see that sturdy, hinge right there. But if there's anything else, I think it's too much. I
Much.
think just keep
I
it
agree
simple
with you.
is.
how are you gonna keep them stationary?
Well, they come with these brackets here. They have a little hook, if I'm not mistaken.
So they don't have dogs?
Absolutely, they have, no, the dog is that little thing you're talking about, right? There's a hook to the back that holds them back. And then there's this one right here on this side, is the way the woman explained it to me when I called her. She's closed in December, so I can't talk to her now. Now we have to wait till January or so, but.
okay.
How are yours held?
I bought all the hardware at Hingham Lumber, because they have the hardware that matches the historic hardware that I had.
Yeah.
And it's just a metal rod that's driven into the wood.
Yep.
And then it has like a little metal that sort of, it feels like it sits on a spring
Yeah.
that you lift up and you push it in and it clicks into place and sits right there.
Sits right there, okay, yep, that's what I'm,
Yeah.
yeah.
You didn't just nail them on?
Of course not.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
I don't have the paperwork, but
There
I'll
you
do
go.
it if you hand it over.
Sure.
Thank you. I think it's on my desk at home. I'd like to make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 19 Ship Street to reinstall shutters to the exterior of the home and to the garage window as approved previously. Reinstall to 4 front windows and 2 windows on the right-hand side. Now you have on here, install, in addition, install to window over new garage front, but the window's already in. Okay, so we already said that, it can go on the garage. The shutters are wood. They are,
Cedar.
looking for they are Shuttercraft Incorporated, cedar wood shutters, painted,
Fixed louver, painted black.
fixed louver, painted black, and the hardware is provided by the same company?
Yes.
Hardware to be provided by the same company,
As shown on the,
as shown on the spec sheet.
Okay, second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
birthday person?
This is Ryan, he turned 13 today.
Oh, good for Ryan. Happy birthday.
Congratulations.
Celebrate.
Excellent.
Good way to celebrate.
Very good.
We did a lot of good things today, except stay off the road.
Yes. Okay,
Okay, I'll need
with-
that, I'll need the application back.
okay. With that, I'd like to conclude the Historic Districts Commission meeting. We have a second?
Second.
Second? Okay.